Today, I will explain about the evolutions of Malaysia foreign policy under Tunku Abdul Rahman and evolution of Malaysia foreign policy under Tun Abdul Razak. Malaysia foreign policy is based on forging close and cordial ties with other members of the international community. It will continue to respect other countries' domestic affairs and push for a policy of non-interference that recognizes national sovereignty. The government has been in power since independence in 1957. Then, Malaysia's foreign policy goal is to protect Malaysia's national interests while also contributing to a fair and fair community of countries. Since independence in 1957, our foreign policy has been consistent to preserve Malaysia's sovereignty and establish universal peace. We are committed to maintaining the country's international standing. Hence, Malaysia will continue to strengthen its ties with other nations and international organizations. After that, Malaysia has built 105 posts in 83 countries and appointed 53 honorary consuls who give support and assistance in advancing Malaysian interests overseas through the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Prime Minister Najib Razak. Malaysia's strategic positions in Southeast Asia, a characteristic of Malaysia as a trading nation and its distinctive population density. Foreign policy may be viewed as an instrument or tool to connect with and engage with other countries, whether those that are close by or far away.
Evaluation of Malaysian foreign policy under Tunku Abdul Rahman. First is during the era of Malay's first Prime Minister, Tunku Abdul Rahman, he is commonly referred. The country was inclined to adopt a natural foreign policy in the early years of post-independence. Along with other senior ministries, the Tunku stand on communism was soft even before Malaysia won independence from the British in 1957. He also first Prime Minister of Malaysia, had a markedly anti-communist and progressive posture as the era saw the country treated by the communist insurgents. The foreign policy during Tunku's time had to take in consideration the bipolar power struggle between position ideas of democracy and communism. However, domestic and international situation at the time did not allow the government to fully implement a natural foreign policy until the mid-60s.
Next, during the reign of first Prime Minister Tunku Abdul Rahman, he adopted a more pro-Western foreign policy. Not only that, it also focused on Commonwealth relations, anti-communist strategies, and also regional relations. Tunku Abdul Rahman maintains close relations between Britain as the former colonial power of Malaya and Western countries. Among the foreign policy developments during the reign of Tunku Abdul Rahman is like Malaya signed the Anglo-Malayan Defence AMDA, in which the agreement was keep him away from any involvement in the alliance of the West, especially the Southeast Asia Treaty Organization (SEATO) led by the US. In addition, Tunku also started a regional cooperation called the Association of South Asia (ASA) in in 1960 and later known as ASEAN in 1967. He was also active in Mafindo and the OIC. Military relations with Indonesia, which were in a bad situation due to the confrontation that took place during the President Sukarno's administration, finally ended in May 1966 and result in recovery cooperation under General Suharto's government. Apart from that, Tunku Abdul Rahman's other contribution and still highly praised is his efforts in shaping Gagasan Malaysia. Tunku had put forward an idea for the formation of Malaysia at the Adelphi Hotel, Singapore, date on 27 May 1961. His purpose in this formation was to ensure political, security, economic and social strength for all countries involved. At the beginning, the combination is involved Malaya, Singapore, Sabah, Sarawak and Brunei. However, Brunei later withdrew from the coalition due to insurgency from the people led by A.M. Azhari, as well as due to the issue of oil revenue.
After that, colonialism has a significant impact on post-colonial regimes' foreign policy. Malaysia, like many other ASEAN post-colonial countries, has been strongly influenced by its colonial past. It's been described as a reaction to both extrinsic and endogenous factors. Geopolitics, domestic politics, leadership, and pragmatism are only a few examples. Colonialism has not always been well received. The focus on Malaysia's foreign policy during the administration of Tunku Abdul Rahman, Malaysia's first Prime Minister. In addition, the impact of colonialism and relations with the United Kingdom in affecting Malaysia's political security and military stance, as well its relation to regional and worldwide military forums like ASEAN and the non-aligned movement is investigated. Next, Tunku Abdul Rahman, the Prime Minister and Foreign Minister at the same time, was the most powerful member of the elite. The Tunku, as he was affectionately known, represent of a class of Western educated aristocratic Malays who have long exercised power in the Federation government. The Tunku moved comfortable between two cultures as the son of a Malay Sultan and a member of the British Bar. He was accepted by Malay, giving David an initially emotional and his reaction to people. The Tunku was a variable asset for Malaysia, which was fundamentally divided along ethnic lines and had only a basic concept of nationhood more than any other man. He was able to bridge the trends in Malaysian society, including racial division and the divide between Western and non-Western Malay communities.
Lastly, a Malayan foreign policy is being developed. Even among the foreign policy of national governments, Malayan foreign policy owed more to the personality of the Prime Minister Tunku Abdul Rahman. Malay people come first, followed by other non-white people, yet there was no personal enemies. This is the Tunku's appeal and playful nature which is answered in a successful Prime Minister and has benefited Malayans. We should not expect much in the way of principled argumentation from the Tunku. We can assume that if it's brief with too large, they would be ignored. It also conceivable to look for more consistent than what available. However, each foreign minister is a unique hand shaped by geography, history, and the form of the domestic and international politics. We can start by looking at the hand and then the matter was played.
Under the leadership of Malaysia's second Prime Minister, Tun Abdul Razak, the country's foreign policy shifted toward non-alignment and internationalism, with Malaysia joining the Organizations of Islamic Cooperation or OIC and other international organizations which is known as the Non-Aligned Movement or NAM. Under Tun Abdul Razak, Malaysia's foreign policy has shifted to non-alignment, neutrality and equidistance. Relationships with abilities are not in essence founded on religion. Following the 13th May 1969 disaster, Malaysia established diplomatic relations with China on May 31, 1974 to assist its internal objective of racial unification and nation building. As a result, the Neutrality Act could be interpreted as an attempt to balance Malaysia's foreign policy.
Other than that, during Tun Abdul Razak's first term as Prime Minister, the government shifted from a pro-Western to a more neutral, moderate and pragmatic position. So during Tun Razak administration, the government took significant steps to strengthen regional resilience and enable ASEAN members to become less reliant on outside powers. So Tun Razak also went in a different direction than TUNKU by establishing diplomatic connections with countries in the communist bloc, such as Russia and China. Tun Razak decided to form a collective security pact with the UK, Australia and New Zealand as a result.
Then, during Tun Abdul Razak's tenure, Malaysia's foreign policy was mostly economic. Tun Razak adopted an economic nationalism agenda in order to decrease foreign corporations' dominations over the country's natural resources. In 1974, he passed the Petroleum Development Act, which addressed this issue. Tun Razak also found Perbadanan Nasional Berhad (PERNAS) to obtain control of numerous companies throughout his reign. In 1974, for example, he created indicators for obtaining consolidations, assets, and foreign investment commodities acquisitions. As a result, foreign investment is only permitted in a few industries.
In terms of safety, Tun Abdul Razak also promised that Malaysia will cooperate with the Indonesian government to block the entrance of the PPRI to the Malayan. He suggests that the Indonesian government provide a list of names of the rebels and cancel their travel documents. With this move, the government of Malayan will be able to restrict or terminate the great political to the rebel. Tun Abdul Razak proposal was welcomed by the Indonesian government. Clearly, Tun Abdul Razak proposal was one of the best measures to maintain friendship between the two countries.
Furthermore, the next contribution is the contribution towards the development of Malaysia. Tun Abdul Razak has launched an economic policy that emphasizes the balance between social development and economic development by making its main goal to eradicate poverty regardless of race and eliminate the identification of economic activities based on race, or in short, it aims to eradicate poverty, ignorance and disease among the Malaysians. The NEP or New Economic Policy has charted the development of the country in stage through the Malaysian plans from 1970 to 1990. Due to this awareness that Malaysians have lagged behind in social economic progress, he was able to improve the living standards of rural people through the Green Book Plan 1974 and also through land clearing through FELDA and FECRA. This plan is very helpful in breaking the poverty line of Malaysians.
In conclusion, despite political science-based efforts to clarify the definition of foreign policy, there is still more work to be done in order to achieve a mutual exclusive understanding of the basics of foreign policy. The focus of foreign policy definition has always been on international relations between countries and the government's critical role in implementing foreign policy. Overall, the impact of non-government factors and political cultures on society and the system is critical to development interactive foreign policy.